movie in the 60s. It was when I was a little boy. It was the 60s, and they had Dr. Dolittle. Okay, so again, I'm going to demonstrate some production techniques that you might use inside of Dreamweaver. These are techniques that you might use, especially if you're going to do things universally. So first thing you want to do is define site. So I'm going to go under my site, new site. I'm going to give my thing a name. And I'm going to choose a folder. Now I have a folder that has a bunch of stuff already in there. Hopefully it works here. Where is it? Where's my where is it? Where's the mascot? There we go. Now, what I was talking about, it after I choose my folder, under something here. Let's see. Oh, enable cache is right here underneath advanced settings, under the advanced settings control. Remember I said that? Make sure the enable cache is selected. That allows it to do the universal changing that I'm talking about, the universal changing. Now, one of the things to keep in mind also is that there's some options inside here that we didn't really talk about. There's like this universal link relative. This is if you have information on a remote server that you are using. Also in this window you might have a default images folder. I really don't use those capabilities, but that's what these options are for in the advanced settings. And then I'm not sure with the case sensitive linking checking. I guess it makes sure that when you are doing things you are making sure you're using upper or lowercase letters. So they have a lot of different things. Cloaking lets you exclude specific folders and files from all site operations. That's the way you don't have to see all the files that you are working on. It gives you an example of Flash or Photoshop. I don't know. I don't really use that. Design notes lets you add text and share extra information associated with a file, such as comments on a status or name of original source file. This would be useful specifically, I guess, if you're working with multiple people on a project. File view column. On the original site file panel, information about the files and folders is displayed. Yes, that's pretty good. It doesn't let you change anything. Enable contribute capabilities. Oh, that's an older program. Probably wouldn't use that. Templates, I'm not sure. Jquery, it looks like it makes your own asset right here. Jquery Assets. So there's a default assets called Jquery Assets. And then it's going to make web fonts. We really didn't use the Adobe web fonts. I tended to use the Google fonts, right? And Edge Animate. We haven't demonstrated Edge Animate, did we? No, we did what? The animated GIF, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe next class we'll see. So I don't know. There's some settings in here. The most important one again is this one right here. Enable cache. Once you're done, you hit save. It should. There you go. It's going to take all the files and kind of put them together. So it's taking all the files that you have and putting them into memory. It's putting them in.
You have a ton of files. Okay.
Yeah, that's why it's taken
Why
some.
doesn't show that?
Yeah, that's
I
why.
don't have 1,000
Yes?
files.
I was curious. So every time we create a new web page, you said to do the new site thing, right?
A new page, yes.
Yeah. So what if we have a new page that we want to associate with the site that we already started doing? You just go to Manage Sites and select that.
Yeah.
And it automatically.
You don't have to say new site. If you've already started building a site, you just choose that folder instead of making a new site. Well, I don't know. The problem with the new site thing is we're using a computer at a school, right? When you're at your home and you're on your laptop, you probably already have a folder that you've been working on. It's already set for that. I just use new site in this room all the time because every time I come into class, I'm making a new site because this computer doesn't have all the files that I want on it. Do you know what I mean? So if you want to add a web page, just put it in the same folder that you defined a site to, and then you just open it up.
So long as it's in the right folder.
As long as it's in that folder, it'll put it in memory like we just saw, and put it in cache. So which is the first thing I'm going to talk about right now is the files window. You've all seen this files window before, right? This is the window that we use to transfer files to our web server, right? It's also the folder you can use to manage files. Think of the files window as like your hard drive on your computer. If you make a change on this files window, it's going to make a change on your hard drive. For example, the Raskoff portfolio. This website, let's look at it for a moment. Let's just look at it. We're looking at my horrible site, which I haven't changed in 5-6 years. But we have this site, raskoff.com, right? Here it is. Beautiful raskoff.com. Okay. So let's say we want to adjust this site. Right now, I have like 5 or 6 pages, right? I have tutorials library. It goes to raskofftutorials.html. Then it goes to video samples. It goes to raskoffvideo.html. Then you got student portfolio. It goes to raskoffstudents.html. Then you got Raskoff portfolio. It goes to raskoffportfolio.html. What if I don't want them all at the top level and I want to take those files that I have and put them into a subdirectory, right? Because right now if I look at my files window, it's kind of messy. It's pretty messy. Those subpages, I want to put them into a subfolder. Okay? You make the changes in this window, don't do them in the operating system. The reason why you do them in this window inside of Dreamweaver is because Dreamweaver will recognize that you are adjusting the code and adjust all the code on your page automatically for you. Okay, so watch again, here we go. If I go to my operating system, right, if I go over here to my operating system, and I go to, Raskoff site, here's my messy, here it is. Say, okay, I want to take all these sub-HTML folders, see them right here, this raskoffportfolio.html right here, and I want to put them all into a subfolder. If I do it here in the operating system, Dreamweaver's not going to adjust the code. But if I do it in this window right here, it'll automatically relink your files so you won't have broken links. Let's see how it does it. I'm going to make a new folder by right-clicking on the top. Remember I always talk about right-clicking and things like that? I'm going to right-click on the top, say new folder, and we'll call these sub-pages. How about that as a name? Sub-pages, right? Oops, no, so I put a 0. So I called it sub-pages. I'm sorry, it's kind of small. I don't know if I can make it any bigger. Then, just like I told you, remember there was a Raskoff Students, Raskoff Portfolio, Raskoff Classes, Raskoff Video, right? I think those were the subpages I had, right? I'm going to take all 4 of those and I'm going to drag them from this window into the subpages folder. And I'm going to release my mouse. First thing it's going to say to you is, hey, you want to change some files. Those files that you want to change have links to them. Right? There's links. That makes the hyperlinks work. Do you want to update them? And you're right, I want to update them. If I say update right now, it's going to go through and you'll notice all the pages that are associated with that. There's a lot of them. It's going to go and change the code automatically for you. Look at them all. Okay? It's going to go and change that code for you and your links will still work. Imagine having to open all these files up that it just changed. Did you see that? That would have taken forever. So that's the reason why that's the reason why you buy this program. I know it's great to use HTML. We're learning HTML, but boy, if I had to open all those up in some HTML editor and try and change that code, a lot of HTML editors have a find and replace and things similar features like this.
The same works if you rename the file.
If you rename the file, it'll do the same thing. Here we go. That's a good question, and we're going to show that right now. Here we go. We don't like being Raskoff because it's or we don't want to call it portfolio. How about that? How about we call it Raskoff stuff? So we want to change Raskoff portfolio to Raskoff stuff. Here we go. We can go click on a name. If I go and delete Raskoff portfolio and put in stuff, watch what happens. I'm going to click off. As soon as I click off the file, it's going to say, hey, You're changing a name of a file. Those names have links to them. Do you want to update? You say yes. Goes, does it again. All those links. It's fixing them all. Boom. Does it automatically. Oh, saves me so much time. Okay. You can even test and make sure they work. Hey, let's try it. Let's open up our index page. There's our fabulous index page here. Let's preview. Oh, it still works. And look, see, it goes to subpages folder. You can see it right there. See it up there in the menu? Okay, so it has done that. Even the video link should still work now. See that? The video links work. Uh-oh, which one's going to win? Dell or Apple? Oh, that's when my kids were small. Now they're big and bad. So they take the boxes and they smash each other.
That's so cute.
So unfortunately, so this is, we didn't do this video last class. We did a bunch of other video formats. This is the older Flash video. This is, so if you make what's called a FLV, which is a Flash video, and you import it into Dreamweaver, it'll give you these controls and everything down here. But of course, it's in the Flash format. Yeah. Yeah. See which one wins. I think they crushed the Dell box. Oh, yeah. There they are. Okay. So that was in the Flash video format. Unfortunately, I don't use that Mac anymore, but I still use that Dell that came in that box. So the Dell has actually outlasted the Mac, at least in this example, from 2006. So I still use the Dell from 2006, but I don't use the Mac Pro from 2006. One of the reasons why is I bought a newer Mac, that's why. And I didn't buy a newer Dell. The Dell from 2006 still works. Why buy a new one? Okay. So the links all work like you saw that. Let's move on. You can rename files. You can do things like that. Okay. Let's talk a little bit more about adjusting the CSS for a moment. You probably understood this already, but we're going to do it anyways. So if you look inside of Dreamweaver and we look at my rollover effect right here, right? If I just use live view, you can see it, right? When I roll over, you see how it changed the slight color there. See that slight color change right there? Okay, that again, that's just the same rollover effect that you've learned already. Okay, so let's say we want to brighten that up. That's not a bright enough. That doesn't have enough contrast. People with, seeing, what am I trying to say? Not blind, but color blindness probably wouldn't see that difference. You know what I mean? It's not a big enough difference. So we want to change that. Of course, the advantage of it is I have one Raskoff CSS right here. See the source code? You've probably noticed this already. As you link files inside of Dreamweaver, the linked files will pop up up here at the top up here, and you can just click on them right there to go to and adjust the code. Now, of course, some of those links that you see up there might point to an external file that's somewhere on the internet, and it doesn't allow you to make those changes, right? Especially when we were doing the Jquery, right? We linked to a lot of Jquery that was on the internet. It'll show up here, but when you click on it, it says, hey, you can't change it because you're using an external file. I've probably seen that already. But again, I could go through my code and say, hey, that wasn't good enough. And of course, what we're looking for is the H over. Here it is. Navigation right here. And here's the color of that horrible red it's going to, right? So we want to change it to a better red, if there's a word, better red. Better red. Better red? Okay, so in this case, can I adjust the colors here? I don't know. That's a good question. That's the ugly blue. Let me show you how I got to that. I highlighted the code. I know there's a way to do it. I highlighted the code and I right-clicked on the code itself, and I went down to where it said Code Hints, and I went to the color picker. So instead of having to go into the CSS Designer Window and all that stuff, right? Remember doing that? You go into the code view, go right-click on the code you want, the color you want to change, and then go to Code Hints, Tools, Color Picker, and you get your little picker window. Oh, sorry, I wanted to move it. Color Picker window. I guess you can't really move it, and I'm going to make it brighter. What do you think? Better color? How about that? How about that? Okay. And of course, you need to save all, or save the CSS. And now, if I preview it, ooh, and that's much. Ooh, it's kind of pinkish. Look at that, springtime color. So again, another very useful tool inside of Dreamweaver is being able to adjust the CSS. And of course, it's universal too, right? Because it's in CSS. It's in the CSS. So it'll change it on every page, no matter where I'm at. It changed it. Change it, change it, change it, change it, change it. I'll show that one more time because that's a very useful thing inside my index page. I go to my CSS file, I find the color I want to change. Find the color I want to change. What is this? Main subtitle. Here we go. Right click on it, Code Hints, Color Picker, and let's go for I'm going to go for a little blue now. Blue. Let's see what that looks like. Oh, save everything. Where was that? Oh, that's not on this page, is it? That's this one right here I changed. This one right here. Here we go. Any questions about that one? There's all kinds of ways to adjust the code I haven't demonstrated. You can collapse the code if you got a lot of code too. I'd rather not go through all that today because I'm still in my universal mode here. Okay, let's continue with some more ways of adjusting your code. Let's talk about the find and replace. I talked about that on the board. Woo. Let's say we want to get rid of the cool to film on the menu bar, right? If we look at it, we have Raskoff classes, tutorials library, video samples, student portfolio. Oh, actually, let's get rid of the tutorials library. I don't have any tutorials anymore. I put them all on YouTube now. Like I think I told you this before. I used to take the videos. Before YouTube, I would have to record my video screen and put it on my website. The downfall of doing that, though, is remember, it would slow down my server. If somebody was watching a video and somebody else was trying to interact with the website, it wouldn't work. It was horrible. Oh, I was going crazy. Had students emailing me, I can't access your website. Oh, I'm sorry. Somebody's watching a video. That's the problem. Somebody was watching a video. So YouTube came along and whew, saved me. But of course, the problem with YouTube is the quality of the videos weren't very good. Especially, 10 years ago when YouTube first came out, I would, if I put one of my tutorial videos on YouTube, it was a small screen, it was blurry. Do you remember when YouTube first came out? Where I could compress it and put it on my server in nice high quality. But of course, the downfall was people couldn't interact with the server when somebody was watching a video. So you had your pros and your cons. But now YouTube is caught up. Right? YouTube is there. So let's get rid of tutorials library. We want to get rid of this button. Now, of course, I only have maybe, 6 pages on this site, so it's not too bad. But if let's say, in theory, I had, 10,000 pages with this tutorials library I wanted to get rid of. Here's how I would do it. Find and replace is very tricky. The best way to do the find and replace is to select what you want first. Select what you want before you go to the find and replace option. So here we go. I'm going to go to the code view. I tend to do the find and replace in the code view. There's different ways of finding and replacing. You can find and replace text, right? Let's say you spelled something wrong. You can find and replace that. Or you can find and replace things on on your page, like a photograph. But you can also find and replace code, and I find that the most useful. So here we go. We're going to go down here to the code view here. So I tend to have lots of different types of code here. So here's a problem that you're going to run into right now. Is the Raskoff tutorials is not inside of, well, we could probably just remove the whole TD. We just want to get rid of this whole TD right here. See it? We want to just remove that, right? We want to remove that whole line. So maybe I might even start with the entire table right here. I might start. So I'm gonna tell it to find everywhere between this table tag and this table tag on all the pages. Then I'm going to go to the replace option and I'm going to delete this line and say replace. Does that make sense? Here we go. The find and replace is located underneath, of course, edit, find and replace, find and replace. Inside there, you have some options. Since I have the code already selected, it should automatically put it in here. If it doesn't, you just hit find all. Oh, it didn't put it in there. Let's see, what's this say? Save query, load query. No, that didn't work. Source code. Why is it not pulling my source code in there? Okay. Yours did it?
Yeah,
Oh.
but I didn't go all the way to the table. I just highlighted the line item.
Let me copy this code. How about that? I'm going to copy that
Maybe I did that.
and paste it in there. There we go. Copy and paste it in there. How about that? So I copied the code and I pasted it in the find window. And then I'm going to say find all. And of course it went behind my window here. Jeez. It's not easy. This is very tricky. Where did it go? Okay, let me reset my windows. Okay, still doesn't like me. Let me try again. It did something, but it put it behind here somewhere. I saw it. It's doing something down here. It only found it in the current one. Oh, it's probably because there's so much universal difference, maybe. No. There's a search window it brings up. Okay, let's narrow it down even narrower. Yeah, you're right. Maybe narrow it down. How about we just highlight the one line that we want to get rid of? How about that? Highlight the one line. Oh, jeez, I don't know. There, one line. Find all. It only finds it on. Oh, I'm in the. I know what I'm doing wrong. Up here it says finding current document. See it right here? Finding current document. I want to find in the folder. So that goes through the entire folder, my whole defined site. That was my option. That was my mistake. So where it says find in, see it right here? Find in. It says current document. I'm going to say folder, and I'm going to go back to all my table code. So again, let's go back again. So folder, and you can choose a subfolder if you want. So let's say that all your pages are in a subfolder. You can choose a subfolder to change, not the entire thing. So when I said folder right here, I'm going to use the entire define site folder. Where if I can find it, where is it? It's somewhere. Where is it? Define site folder. Where is it? Where's my folder? Here it is. So I'm going to choose folder, and then I'm going to choose my entire defined site folder. Okay, again, I'm going to find in folder, and then I chose my entire folder, and then I put the source code down here. I put the source code here. See that? Then I say find all, and it goes through and should find the code on at least 6 or 7 pages. No, found it only on 1. Down on 3. No, it's probably because the code is different. Yeah. The reason why I didn't find it on all of the subpages is because I moved them into a subpage folder, which made it different. Do you know what I'm saying? The code is different on those. Remember those 4 pages I put into a subfolder? So that's not going to work. Okay, so let's try a different approach. How about if I just choose this entire line right here and say find and replace? Let's try that again. Find and replace. Again, the entire defined site folder, just that line, find all. It should find it on more than that. No, I only found it on 4? Maybe because in the sub library it's different. Let's move on. So, let me try again. I'm going to do the whole code again. You might have to do it more than once. Find and replace. Find all. Okay. To replace the code, I click on this window again. I put the code in there. Then I put the replace code in here. The replace code in here. And then I delete what I don't want. And what did we want? No more tutorials library, right? We want to remove that. And then I'm going to say replace all. Yes. I'm going to do it. And it should have fixed all of them. At least the ones that it found. So let's see what it did. It removed it right here. See it? It's gone. Now the problem was the ones I put in the subfolder has different code, right? The ones I put in, remember I put some in the subfolder? So I actually have to go and open one of those up and do this again. Because if you think about it, the ones in the subfolder are different. The ones in the subfolder are different. But, geez, everything is all jacked together here. Remember I made a file called subpages? Remember I made one called subpages? In the subpages, when I move them, these ones like Raskoff Student, Raskoff Stuff, Raskoff Classes, Raskoff Video, they have different line of code, so it's different in there. So I'd have to open one of those up to change those. Then I would find, because if you think about it, the Raskoff tutorial is a little different there because it has the // which goes up a folder. So it's a little different in there. That's why I didn't find and replace it, because it's different in here. So if I highlight the code there, I'm going to copy this code here. I'm going to copy that one. Copy this whole thing here. Then I'm going to go to the find and replace. This time it says find in folder right here. See how it says find in folder? I'm going to go and choose the folder of the subpage. So I'm going to click on here, go to the one that was for that subpages. Remember this one right here? Subpages that has 4 files in it. So I'm going to say find all the ones inside there. So I'm going to find all. Oh, put the code in there first. Put the code in there first. Find all. It should find all 4 of them, which it did. It found all 4 of them. Then I'm going to click, see this little kind of, in the find and replace, you got this little kind of arrow in the upper corner of the search window that pops up when you're doing find and replace. If I click on that little arrow right there, it should, I'm going to put again the same source code there, but this time I'm going to put the same code here again, and then I'm going to remove that line for the tutorial library. This one again, I'm going to delete that. And then say replace all, and it should open each one of those up and replace this code with this code. Replace all, and say yes, and it'll go and replace all. So every one of them now has been adjusted with the thing gone. It's a little tricky. You're going to have to do it several times, and sometimes it messes up your code. As you can see, it kind of pushed this up a line there. But in general, if you can figure out how to use the find and replace, it'll save you. Notice there's no more tutorials library. Do you see that? It's gone, 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 gone on all the pages, except for that, of course. Gone, 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 gone. So there's a way of doing the find and replace that will help you make universal changes. I don't know. It's tricky. It took me several years to get it to work properly. I've messed up many sites, especially changing the code. It's also good for doing universal things, like when I used to have, when I used to do all my classes from my website instead of Angel. Yeah, there was a time before Angel. Remember Angel? There used to be a lot of. I've been teaching online classes since 1999, before Angel, and I would just use my website. So in this case, if you open up the classes here, let's just say I was teaching the Fabulous Illustrator class, right? Fabulous Illustrator class. And you'll notice I have like at least 15, 16 different lessons, a bunch of pages and stuff. So here's the first page for the Raskoff class right here. Here it is. Welcome to, oh look, it changed my, look at that. That's all different now, see that? Ooh, evil. Every semester, the section number changes, right? And I don't want to have to open every page up in the Illustrator class and change the section number. So I use the find and replace. Here's how I would do it. I open up one of the pages that has the section number on it I want to replace. I highlight the number. See how I highlight the number? I'm going to go into the find and replace. Find and replace. Go to where it says find in folder, right? The first option is find in folder. I'm going to go and choose my Illustrator folder where my Illustrator class is. So I have a folder called classes. I have an Illustrator class folder in there. It's right there. I'm going to go and choose it. That's where all the HTML files are at. They're all inside here. I'm going to hit open. Again, I do the same thing I just said. Find all. Boom. It goes through and it should find them all. Oh, it's supposed to. Oh, where did it go? It's down here somewhere. Here it is. So again, it went through and it found that number on all the pages. See it? Found the number on all the pages. Then I'm going to click on this little arrow. Remember this arrow right here I was talking about in the window that pops up? And I put in a new section number. Whatever it is, I don't know what it is. And then I say replace all. Boom. You sure you want to do it? It gives you the error message. You say yes. And it goes through and changes that number on all those HTML files without having to open each one up. So again, you can use the find and replace as a very useful feature to do things very universally. Did you see that? Look at that. I changed. Look at that. Now I can look at the class page. New number. New number. New number. Did you see that? Any questions about that? That was easier than changing the code because you're changing content on the page. Okay, you ready to move on? I'm sure you can figure out the find and replace. Okay, let's say you have common things you want to use on your pages and you want to use them over and over again. Let's say you have an email link, right? Hey, I want to have my email link or my telephone link, and I want to be able to store it inside of Dreamweaver so I can use it on a page without having to type it every time. You can store commonly used code and things like that inside of Dreamweaver in the Assets window. So here we go. My next example will be how to store commonly used things inside of Dreamweaver. Let me actually pause this video before it crashes. We don't want to have to start over, do we? Over again. Probably the most useful way of storing data Sorry, I have to clean my windows up here. Let me clean them up. Everything's all messed up. Everything's all messed up. Hold on. Let's there we go. Let's close this one. Close that one. Okay. Probably the most useful window to store things is called the Assets window. Again, the Assets window can be used to store colors. Notice there's a whole bunch of colors in there already stored. Where are these colors being pulled from? Well, these are the colors that are being pulled from any of the HTML files that I have. And I have probably 10,000 HTML files in my folder here. Or maybe 1,000. So any of the colors that I've used in any of these pages here and any of this stuff are stored in the Assets window, and it's pulling them. Okay? You can manipulate the colors if you want, because that's too many. You're like, oh my lord, look at all those colors. I have to go through that whole list. Look at all them. What you could do is, instead of having it pull all the colors from all the HTML files, you can have favorites. Favorites, right? And inside your favorites, you can add a favorite. Okay, so I think let's try that. Let's try that again. So I like this blue right here. I think this is it. Add to favorite? No, that didn't work. Can I drag it? How do I add it to my favorites? Oh, down here, a plus. There we go. That sounds like a good idea. Hold on. This one right here? I think that's it. The selected asset have been added to the site favorites list. To view the favorites list, choose favorites. There we go. Don't show that message again. Thank you. So that one was added. Let's find some other colors. Ooh, look at that nice light blue right there. Oh, that's a beautiful one. Add that to my favorites. How about this purple is nice. Oh, no, that's not purple. Oh, that's a nice gray though. Let's add that to favorites. And then, let's see.
Sorry, how did you get the assets?
Window Assets. Assets. And it should pull any of the colors that you've used in there, should be automatically in there. It's site-wide. See how it says site up here? Site up here? So then I'm taking each one of the colors I like and I'm putting them into what's called favorites so that it makes a smaller list. And there's a little plus right here. It looks like a little tag down at the bottom there. Oh, there's some nice colors in there. Look at that. Ooh, fuchsia. Look at that one. That's awful bright. How about a yellow? Let's put a yellow in there. There we go. Okay, so let's look at our favorites. Oh, see? Much better list there, right? Much better list there. Remember how I thought we had an example in class where we went and went to the color scheme designer, made a color, and then we put that color into the thing. It should have pulled the colors into there. That's how we got the colors to come in. Do you remember that? That was a long time ago. Woo. Anything we did 6, 7 weeks ago, I already forgot to. Okay, let's move on. Do you get the idea of how to store your colors? There's another way to store your colors. Let me demonstrate that real quick before we leave colors. Of course, in the CSS Designer window, you've probably seen it before, but we're going to do it anyways. Oh, jeez, this window is too big. Hold on, I have to get rid of this insert window. It's horrible. Go away. There we go. Okay, let me open up a file. There we go. And, of course, sorry, these windows are everywhere in this program. In the CSS Designer window, if you go to your Fabulous CSS options, right? Your Fabulous CSS options, and you go to a color. Let's say you want to change a color. And no, not using these colors, not using the hexadecimal colors. If you use the Rgb color scheme or the HLS color scheme. If I can remember how to switch to it. How did we switch to that? Oh, here it is down here. you can store your colors up here, right? See them up here? I guess in a hexadecimal you can store them up there too. So inside of the color picker in the CSS Designer window, you have this option up here where you can choose, add a color there. 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 So you have this option right here, and this option right here in the CSS Designer window will show up in another time that you want to change a color, right? So this window that you're looking at right here is inherent to the defined site folder that you defined, right? So here, let me use an example. So remember, I'm in the index page right here. See the index page? I've just saved 4 colors here. Do you see that? I am in the index.html. I've saved 4 colors here. If I go to another HTML file, let's choose another one. Let's say I want to change the Raskoff tutorials, which we don't have anymore. How about we want to change the Raskoff students folder right here. Boom. I open that one up. I'm go to my CSS Designer window. Let's say I want to go and change. What was I changing? I was changing something. What was I changing? Container. There we go. And here's the background color, this beautiful background color. If I go and click on that, oh, see them? They're in there now. Okay. So these should then, they're inherent to the defined site folder. So that's another way to store commonly used colors is in the CSS Designer window. I think we demonstrated this before, but I just wanted to reinforce it because we were here. And you hit this plus, and it adds it to it. Okay. You got that? Let's go back to the Assets window. Assets window. Look at my background now is yellow. Oof, I'm really messing up my site today. Oof. Oof. Here we go. So again, I've been talking about the Assets window as a common way to store things. Now these are different colors than you saw in the CSS Designer window. One thing you could store in the Assets window also is images. You can say site images. Ooh, this is going to take a lot of memory here. I don't know if this is going to work. Ooh, it's going. What it does is it goes through and finds all the images in your defined site folder and puts them in here. That way you want to use an image. Let's say I want to use this image. I can just pull it instead of having to go to the, remember, you know, go under Insert, Image to put an image on your screen and you have to go and search for it, right? You can come over here to the Assets window, click on the first one. It looks like a little image. It's called Images. Find the image you want and drag. You can drag directly from this asset window, boom, right out onto the screen, and it's there. Okay, so it's kind of like you have a universal folder of all the photos or graphics that you have inside of your defined site window. You can see all of them. These are all the graphics in my defined site folder. And there's a lot of them because there's a lot of graphics in my folder here. Ooh, there's a self-portrait. Let's look at that one. Oh no, that's not me. I thought that was me. That's not me. That's not me. That's not me. That's not me. Oh, those of you who are in the Illustrator class, you know, this is a nice one. It doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be all, you know, realistic looking. This is one of my favorite ones from previous semesters. I like the big eyes. Makes you think of your anime, right?
Is that like a portrait?
That's a portrait from the class. Yes. You can make something like this. You don't have to do realistic or, you know, any kind of portrait is nice. It just needs to be a person. Not a dog, a person. Okay. Their final project in the Illustrator class is to draw a person. They got 2 weeks. They give you a whole 2 weeks. And this was one of the best examples, though. I really like the hair. There's some nice hair in there. These nice little sparklies. There's some really good detail in there. You'd have to see the original. And the nose was really well done.
Shading of the face is really
Yeah, that's really hard to do. Okay, let's get back to Dreamweaver, though. I just wanted to point it out because I was looking at assets. There. Okay. So again, Assets window, great way to store things. You can drag right from it onto your screen. Every graphic you have gets put in there. Every graphic. Woo! Woo! So many. So many. And it also gives you the dimensions. I've also used the asset window as a great way to find the dimensions of something so that I don't have to try and open it in Photoshop and go image size and all that. You can go over here and it'll tell you a whole bunch of stuff in here. Let's look at that real quick. It'll tell you how big it is. It'll tell you how many kilobytes it is. It'll tell you what file type it is, and it'll tell you where it's located inside of your defined site folder. So it gives you all kinds of very useful information in the Assets window, and it gives you all the graphics all in one big long shot. So very helpful. I find it very helpful for the dimensions because I'm often trying to put dimensions in, right? I use it all the time. Here's how I use it. Let me show you. Going here, going to a tool, and then down here I have a photo gallery right here, and in the photo gallery I wanted to put the dimensions, see them right here, and file size. See that? I wanted to put the file size and dimensions. I use the asset window. Click on it, type in the information. It tells me the kilobytes and the size, and it told me all in one window. Where is it? All right here. That way I didn't have to open it in Photoshop and try and analyze it, find out how big it is, everything. You know, it's all right there. Saves you a lot of time. That's very universal, right here. Okay, then we're going to move on. Another useful one. This one right here, URLs. Okay, URLs is this one. So it'll give you common links. So it'll analyze your website, and all the links that you have on your website, it'll put them in here. All the links on your website, it'll put them in there. Some of them you might not want, some of them you might want. So I have a lot of links. Look at them all. Woo! Geez, look at all that. Wow, look at all that. You might say, I remember those links, but I can't remember where they go or what they do. Here, it gives you a list of all of them. Look at them all. Woo. If you want to use one of these links, you find them and say, what a great article this was from 2008 on how to use Photoshop. You can actually simply drag this link out to your page and release the mouse. Boom. Saves it right there. And then it goes there. You might need to, if you want target though, you have to highlight it and say target blank if you want to open a new window. Remember that? But still, you have all your links in there, and you can automatically just drag them out from the link window to your page. Oh, there's a bunch of TED Talks. Ticketmaster. You get our concert tickets, right? A bunch of Vimeo videos. Ooh, let's try some of those. Boom. Put it out there. You can also use favorites, right? Just like you did with the pictures. So you have common links. You say, oh, these links are very important here. You can click on favorites. Boom. 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 And then you keep your most common ones there. Then you can just drag them out very quickly. Does that make sense? So that might save you too, right? I wonder if you can open from this window. Can I open it from there so I can? Oh, it does. It says open URL. Did you see that? I saw when it said open URL. New URL. In there, open. Maybe over here. No. It'd be nice if I could open it from there. No. Maybe from up here. What I was trying to do was figure out how to go to the link so I can make sure that's the link I want, right? That's what I was hoping to this do. Well, I don't know. Okay, let's move on. So you also have Flash, but of course, you know, I don't know. I have a bunch of Flash on my site, but most people don't use Flash anymore. But of course, Flash is owned by Adobe, so they're going to put Flash in their products. Flash in their products. Ooh, I do have some Flash samples. You want to see a Flash sample? I haven't demonstrated how to put a Flash sample on your site yet, so we can do that while we're here. Here we go. We got an empty folder down there. So Flash is a file format that has a .swf extension. SWF is a very old term. And let's talk a little history. You know me, I love my computer history. So back in the late 90s, okay, Macromedia had a program called Director. And I used to teach Director back in 1994, 95. But Director was a program that you could use to make interactive things, like interactive CDs is what we used to do back then. So they wanted to take that same kind of capabilities that Director had and put it onto a web page. And there was a company called Future Splash. I think I told you about them already. Remember, I went to the Seabold convention in 1995, and I went to a booth, and there was a guy with Silicon Graphics computer, and he had vector graphics going on a web page. It was called Future Splash. Well, Macromedia bought it, and it became Flash. So what they wanted to do is they wanted to take things that were done in Flash and so animated things and multimedia things and put them on a web page, and that's where Flash came from. But they also had, Macromedia had that product I was talking about earlier called Director. And they wanted to take things that you could do in Director and put that on a web page also. So they made an extra program called Afterburner. And what you could do is you could take things inside of Director, export them out using this thing called Afterburner, and you could put it on your web page, and it was called Shockwave. Shockwave. So Shockwave was a way of taking things you did in Macromedia Director and put it onto a web page. But then, of course, they bought Flash, like I told you about. And so instead of having two separate plugins to play these two separate files, now they have one. And so what they did is they squished them together. And that's where SWF comes from. Comes from Shockwave, which was the Director wave, and then Flash, and they squeezed them together, and we're still using SWF today as Shockwave Flash. So that's where it came from. How about flying birds? Let's see that. So to put an SWF on your website, you find a location where you want it. You can go under the Insert window if you want. You can say Insert Image. No, where's I don't know. There used to be Insert Flash. How about we just drag it on? Let's see what that does. Boom. It says you want to add an object tag. You want to give it a name. Let's give it a name. This was, I think, birds, right? Birds. And then hit OK. Did it put it on? Oh, it recognized the file size and everything. And then we have some settings for Flash. You got a loop, autoplay, quality high, all these things that you would have in a Flash file. If we save it, notice it put an external JS file right there. See that? It put an external JS file right there. It did that automatically to probably play it. Let's save all. Let's preview it. Oh, there he is. It's a flying bird. There he is. That's it. That's one of my first animations we do in the Flash class. If we actually offered Flash, we would do. That was one of the first animations you do. You learn how to loop. See how the bird flaps his wings a couple times, right? He's looping, 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 looping. And then you learn to move the background. Okay? It's like Scooby-Doo. You ever watch, well, me, Scooby-Doo, I grew up in the 70s. You watch cartoons today. You ever notice how the background's pretty much the same? Well, at least in Scooby-Doo it used to be. They used to recycle the background over and over again. Hey, there goes that. Oh, there goes that. This is called image pan, right? You're panning across a larger landscape. And so then the bird loops and then it pans across. Okay, so this is an example of Flash that you will put in there. Notice how it's looping. Kind of like the animated loop. Remember the GIF animation? The other thing that's nice about Flash is you can actually export out what you do in Flash as a GIF animation. Then you don't have to worry about the Flash plugin. Okay. So that was Flash. Where were we at? We're in the Assets window. Here we go. Let's go back. So that was Flash. And then you got Movies. Notice how it puts the FLV, remember that? FLV videos in there, FLV videos. And so we can put one of those videos on if you would like it. You can put one of those on. So these videos are called FLV. So before there was YouTube, you could make a video, compress it in a format, and put it on your website. I think I demonstrated some of that last class, right? And we talked about using the Adobe Media Encoder. Remember that program, Adobe Media Maker, or whatever it was called? Well, you also have FLV files, and so I used to use these all the time before I would use Flash or before I would use YouTube. So, which one you want to see? Telltale Note. That's an oldie but goodie. Why Not Live? What is that? I don't know what that one is. It's an MPEG format too. Vlad. Oh. This was a Russian video student who never held the camera steady, ever. Her video is always moving. Never once has she ever held the camera steady. And she did it on purpose. I thought she was kind of crazy. I'm like, why are your videos constantly moving? And she had a certain style. That was her style. So let's watch her video. So again, to put a video on, we didn't demonstrate this video last time. This is a different type of video. This is the Flash video format. FLA is the Flash video format. You can drag that out onto the screen. It's going to bring up this window right here. Okay, this window is the put your Flash video on your screen. Okay, this is different than using YouTube. The first one is called Progressive Download. Progressive Download, that's this option up here. And then you have Streaming Video. There's two options. Now, these are kind of a misnomer, if that's a word. What I mean by that is, what Progressive Download means is the video will start playing before the entire video has been downloaded on the person's computer. Because in the early days of putting video on your website, like a QuickTime file, what was the problem is the person would have to download the entire video, all the megabytes, all the kilobytes, whatever. It had to be all downloaded to the computer, and then the person could start playing the video. Then they came out with something called Progressive Download, which means that the video can start playing before all the data has been downloaded. You probably see this today, right? Even in Netflix, right? You start watching a video, it doesn't download that whole Netflix video. You're only watching a little part of the video as it's playing it, right? Then there's a streaming video, and the streaming video is a little bit different. What streaming is, it's pushing the video. It's kind of like Netflix. That's what streaming video means, in that as the video is being downloaded, it's being displayed to you at the same time. Hence the word streaming. Think of a stream. It's showing you at the same time. Unless you have a streaming web server, you don't use streaming. You have to buy the capabilities on your server to be able to stream. Usually it costs more. So Progressive Download is probably the most universal. That's what I use since it's on my computer. Then you say relative path. This is the link. This is the control bar. You got a variety of different types of control bars you can choose. You can make your own control bar if you want. You can put in the dimensions of your video, which it didn't tell me my dimensions, but I think it's probably 320 by 240, which is quarter screen. You can autoplay it. Oh, the text size. Is it detecting? Uh-oh. 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 It says detecting, but it's not telling me more. You're not telling me more. I guess I shouldn't have put any dimensions in. Let's see. Oh. Oh, it can't be detected? Why not? Can't detect the size for me? I guess it can't detect the size. It's going to be 320 by 240. I know it. Yeah, I see that. Okay, if we hit OK, let's look at that. So we have a video file. If I play it, save it, and then play it, we got a bird going, and then we have a video down here. Again, this is a flash video, and it's playing, and it should have sound. I don't know if there's any sound. Doesn't seem like there's sound. She usually has sound in her video. Oh, she has sound. She made crazy videos. Vlad Wood is her last name. W-O-O-D. V-L-A-D. W-O-O-D. She probably has videos on YouTube if we looked her up. Maybe. She used to use Daily Motion, which was the kind of YouTube of Europe. Right? Daily Motion. But her videos were never steady. Constantly moving the camera. Okay. So that's a flash video FLV format. Okay, we're almost done. Let's see. So we went through video. We had this. Scripts, you commonly use programming, can be stored also. Like the .js files, right? So they're all in there. Scripts. Templates, which we don't have template. And then a library item, which I don't have a library item. I don't know if I have time today to go over how to do a library item. I'll have to do that next class. I think it's important though. A library item is a very useful thing to the program. The library item, but I want to demonstrate it properly for you. Let's look at one more. And that's called Snippets. Snippets. Okay, it's underneath Assets. It's called Snippets. Snippets. Okay, Snippets is another way of storing code inside of Dreamweaver that you would commonly use inside of Dreamweaver. You'll notice if you open up the Snippets window, there's a variety of different types of snippets in there. These are pre-made programming that you could use for your page. Like if you want to use a certain element, like the close window button. Remember last class I think we were showing how when you want to open up a window to play a video and then we wanted to have a close window. Remember that? It's actually in Dreamweaver. I didn't remember it was there, but there's a close window button right here. See it? So you can actually use that on your page. So if you want to use a close window button, you can drag it out from here to your page, and it'll give you a close window button. Now I don't have a window to close, so let's try an example. If you really want me to show an example, let's try it. Open this window and read something. So let's make a link. Let's make a new window. Let me save this one. We'll call it Window 1. Window 1. And let's make a link and have it go to Window 2. Window 2. Hold on, I have to close all this stuff. Is driving me crazy here. I would say target blank. Thank you for confirming that for me. Thank you, because I would have forgot. And let's make a new window 2. Let's make our window 2. Ever. Let's. Oof, we spelled that wrong. Let's bold this puppy up there, and then let's drag our close window button out. This one, close window. Drag that out. Close window, and let's save that as, what do you call it? Window 2, right? Window2.html. Oof. Okay, I'm starting to make a lot of mistakes here. I think I'm getting tired. So we got close window 2, open window 1. Let's preview in Firefox. Let's click our window, open a new window, and then let's close the window. Open a window, close the window. Open the window, close the window. Open the window, close the. So there's a whole bunch of snippets in there. I don't know. You have to go through and find out what they do, but I just wanted to point out that they're there. I'll have to go through and see. There's probably some useful features in there. I'm gonna